please consider joining either our level 1, our level 2, or our children cohort community. Our level 1 cohort community is for those who are on the waiting list to do one whole heart sessions or considering doing one whole heart sessions or signing up for them. This community or cohort is an incredible entry gate to begin learning tools in the God-breathed healing process and revelations that God has given One Whole Heart Ministry. Before you were born, God knew you. He had a plan for you and what you were created to do, what you were created to walk in. And as you learn to walk in the Spirit, step by step with God, you automatically walk out that plan, that vision, what God created you for. But in the meantime, things like anxiety or fear or sadness or depression or racing thoughts or numbness or headaches or backaches or disengaging or disconnecting or lots and lots of other self-protection processes get in the way. God wants to heal your heart. God wants to bring you into the fullness of what you're created for. And to do that, God has given One Whole Heart a thorough and extensive process to bring healing to your heart. God's the healer. No other healer but God. He's the healer. But at the same time, as you begin your journey, one good place to start is the level 1 community, the cohort community. And as you walk through the community, it'll prepare you for sessions as they open up and are available to bring forth your journey to wholeness. Our level 2 cohort community is for those that have already completed their healing sessions or are at the latter end of their healing process through session. I would like to say that once our sessions are done, the healing is complete, but that's not true. When you finish your session, what's going to happen is you'll probably feel lots of peace and you'll be in a good place. Things like anxiety, fear, sadness, depression, anger, confusion, racing thoughts, busyness, for the most part, will have subsided. Things like numbness will be quite a bit less or gone. But what happens next is very important. If the enemy would just say, I give up, I quit, I'm not going to go after this person anymore, they've had too much victory, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. But it doesn't necessarily work that way. What ends up happening is that for the next year to 3 years, as you step in and as you determine to grow and as you determine to make Jesus Lord of your life and put him in that anchor position and place him in a place where you can walk in the Spirit day after day after day and be who you're created to be, what ends up happening is the enemy doesn't back down. He wants to come and get his ground back. At the same time, what you want to do is advance your territory. You want to begin to learn how to walk in the Spirit more and more of your life, to spend all your time in the Spirit. Most people come from a place where most of their time is spent in the flesh. Now, when I say flesh, I'm not talking about, obviously, the physical body. I'm talking about the I, me, self-centered, self-focused, that part of us that needs to self-protect. As I self-protect, most of the time I'm doing the opposite of what God would have me do. He's my protector, not me. And so for the next year to 3 years after your session, it's really important to crucify your flesh, that your flesh would die and you'd learn to walk in the Spirit step by step with God as he moves with you step by step. If you complete your sessions and go back to the old life, that's not going to turn out very well. And what's going to happen is you're going to get isolated, you're going to get offended, and he'll take those old patterns of anxiety, fear, sadness, depression, anger, and confusion, and he'll bring those forth again in your life. Maybe not with the old roots or the places where they initially started, but with new offenses and new patterns. The truth is, you went through sessions to get beyond that. You went through sessions to not only get healing, but to keep your healing and eventually walk out your call and your destiny. So the next year to 3 years, it's very, very important to crucify your flesh, to die to your works, as we say. What does that mean, die to your works? Well, dying to your works is really dying to you getting your value out of what you do. The truth is, your value is established by Jesus Christ and his shed blood on the cross, and he's already paid for it. And so you don't need to work to get your value. It's already taken place. So what I'm going to tell you is that as you learn to die to your need to get your value out of what you do, that sets you free to live and walk in the spirit and be what you're created to be. You're already that person. You always have been. And as the self-protection goes away, the negative emotions, the negative thoughts, the carnal mind trying to be in charge and move you around and make the decisions. As that all dies, what ends up happening is you have life. No longer are you carrying it on your shoulders, but you're actually releasing it to God. And your trust and faith in God is multiplied. So what I'm going to tell you is the next year to 3 years is intensely important. That's why we have Cohort level 2 training or community really is the best way to state it. For the next year to 3 years, you're going to need to have people around you that understand what we're talking about, understand crucifying the flesh, understand dying to your need to get your value out of what you're doing. And so what happens is, as your sessions are complete, you begin stepping through those things that your flesh doesn't want to do. You begin to step through the things that you want to do and your flesh wants to do, but you shouldn't do. And as you do that, what ends up happening is if you're on your own and you isolate, or you don't understand what's happening as your flesh shows up and starts fighting and trying to protect, what ends up happening is you can get isolated and offended, and it can actually bring you out of your healing process. And it can bring you to a place of not only isolation and offense, but make you feel like you haven't had any healing at all. And so that's why we have level 2 cohorts. What I'm going to tell you is that we need people around us to point out, okay, what you're going through right now, as you stepped through and did that thing that you didn't want to do. Maybe you went out and spoke in groups or large groups that you were afraid to do. Or maybe you stopped talking in situations where you would constantly talk and your flesh was pulling you to talk to be justified. Whatever it happens to be, when you don't talk in those situations, or when you do talk, when you feel like, hey, I can't say anything, or I can't talk in front of a group, or I can't do this, or I'll be embarrassed, and you have negative thoughts that are saying what you said was wrong, and people are talking about you, and you have all those negative thoughts that are coming, all right, which could lead to an offense. If you realize that that's just your flesh fighting to stay alive, and it needs to die, and there needs to be a mourning process in all of it. And so what I'm telling you is you need people around you. You need people that understand the death and rebirth process as your flesh dies, as you die to your works. And that's what level 2 cohorts are all about. Helping you to understand the process, helping you to understand the negative feelings, the death process, and what it feels like as you go through death, and as you grab onto God, and as you move your anchor from self-justification and your own works into trust and faith in Jesus Christ, and make him Lord of your life.